Hello and welcome to the Freedom Frequency Podcast. I'm your host, Kaya, energy healer, psychic channel, and spiritual mentor for women who are ready to ditch the spiritual rulebook, release the pressure and overwhelm, and let go of all that comparison that makes you feel like what you're doing isn't enough. In this podcast, I'm going to share bits of my journey with you, as well as my wisdom and knowledge to show you that spirituality gets to be something that works for you and not something that you work for. Now let's dive into today's episode. Hello. I have no idea where this episode is going to go, but I have a little topic in mind from a conversation I've had recently and from a trend I see all the time. And I feel like I start every episode like that. I don't know if you guys are into human design, but if you are, my strategy in human design is to respond. So a lot of my inspiration comes from things I'm responding to. So I'll have a conversation with someone, or I'll see something someone shared on social media, and I'll have this spark of inspiration. So a lot of the episodes that I share on here are from conversations with friends or with clients or the women in my membership. They kind of spark something that I feel like other people would benefit from listening to this. It's something I want to talk more about. So that's where the inspiration comes from this episode as well. So what I really want to speak to today is a topic that I feel like I speak to all the time, but I trust that when I speak to things more than once, it's going to come through in a different way and it's going to reach different people, and it's going to be exactly what you need to hear if you're listening. So what I want to talk about is I don't even know the word, like the act, I guess, of waiting for clarity or being confused. Like, I see this happen so much, and I get it because I've been here too, where there's women, or, most of my listeners are women, so I'm going to say that, but there's people who are, like waiting for clarity on something, and maybe they even have like a few options in their head. Like they kind of are like, yeah, like it's like maybe one of these things, but like I'm not 100% sure. Like I don't know, like what should I do? Like, and there's just like all these options. And I've actually had quite a few conversations with different people about this exact topic in the last week. Like people who are wanting to start a business, and they're like, I've got some ideas, but I don't really know. Or they're wanting to, it's mostly entrepreneurs I've been talking to lately. I feel like that's the circle I run in, but somebody else who's wanting to kind of like do a different thing with her business. And it's like, I've got a few options and I don't really know what's right, what to do. And so the message that I really want to share here is around what to do and like why we are in this position, why we are ever in the position of like, I'm seeking clarity, I'm waiting for clarity to come in, and I don't really know what to do. So I would say 99% of the time when we are experiencing this, it is from a place of ego that we're feeling stuck. It's from a place of ego that we feel confused, right? Like our higher self always knows what to do. Always. We always have the option to tap into our intuitive wisdom, to turn inward, turn into our hearts, into our higher self energy, and find the next step. We always have that available. The catch here is that a lot of us second guess the information coming through. A lot of us feel like we're waiting for a clear sign, or we're overthinking things, or we feel like, we're overthinking from a place of what's the right answer. We're putting pressure on it. We're feeling like, I don't know what the right thing to do is. And I've been here a gazillion times, so I get it. And what I really want to offer up here is that you always know the right answer. And sometimes when we know the answer and it feels a little bit scary, we like to pretend subconsciously, maybe you're not aware you're doing this, we like to pretend that we don't know. So sometimes we can, for example, say like it's a business idea. So sometimes we're like, I want to start a business. I've got a few different ideas. Like this one makes sense. This one would be kind of like, it kind of makes sense, but I think it would be more fun. And then like there's this one which like, oh, I feel like it'd be like my soul calling, but I also feel like I'm just so unprepared for that right now. Like it might be something like later down the road, or like, we have kind of some options. And we like to be in this place where we're like, we know which one's the soul calling. We know which one is like, I hate to say the right move, but we know which one like our soul desires to do. But it feels a little bit scary. Like we can't see the next steps. And often when we can't see what's coming next and all we can see is one step ahead, we feel uncomfortable. It doesn't feel safe. It feels scary. And we decide that we don't want to do it. And this can be a conscious decision like, ooh, yeah, I'm not ready for that. But it can also be an unconscious thing where your mind just like automatically shuts off the answer and has like a gazillion reasons for you about why that's not true. And you can not even realize sometimes consciously that you have shut that off. And I see this happen all the time in business. I've seen this happen with other things as well, like, promotions at work or love life or parenthood or anything like that. And really what's happening here is like when we then have like, well, this is, the way my soul wants to go, but like it's unsafe, whatever. Then all these other ideas flood in and all these other options because we're trying to find like another path, but just nothing feels right. And then all of a sudden we have like, 3 different options or 8 different options. And we're like, oh, I'm just confused now. Like, I'll wait for a sign. I'll wait for clarity to come in. And the thing is it's probably never going to. And I say this all the time, is that clarity comes with action. So when we're sitting and waiting for clarity to come in and we're like waiting for a sign, we're waiting for our spirit guides to send a sign, we're going to be waiting a long time. Because even when we do set signs for our spirit guides, like I love to do that. And like when I receive it, then I move. And a lot of people don't do that. And that's where the breakup comes, because they're like, I'm waiting for a sign. And then they get the sign and they're like, but like, was that the sign? Or like, was it just like a coincidence, or is it because of this? Like, I'm going to wait and see if I see it again. Like, and they second guess it. So when we're constantly in this game of second guessing our intuition and second guessing our signs and our spirit guides, like pushing us closer to that next step, of course, we're going to end up just feeling stuck and confused because we're never actually moving. So really what I would like to offer up here, and like the message that's coming through, is like to just move. And part of, human experience is making mistakes. And I think a lot of us like we'll stay stuck in waiting for clarity because we don't want to make a mistake. We don't want to fail at something. We don't want to be rejected by something. Like we have a fear around like, what if I do this and it's not the right thing to do? But I don't know about you, but I would rather like try something and make a mistake and then like the next month like try something else or whatever, and like keep working towards what I'm desiring even if I keep failing, than to just stay stuck for 3 years. You know what I mean? Like it's not getting you anywhere any faster. And I feel like too, we get really caught up in the right thing to do and the wrong thing to do. So we're often waiting for ourselves to feel like, yes, I know this is the right thing to do. And sometimes we can get this feeling really quick and we can move and it's great. But sometimes like we're waiting for like the right time or the right opportunity or the right thing to do or whatever. And the thing is we're probably never going to feel like it's actually right. And when we're always waiting for the right feeling and maybe we don't even know what that feels like, then like, what are we waiting for? And for me too, like I don't actually like to believe that there is a right and a wrong when it comes to certain things like that. Like when it comes to, say, if we go back to the business example, I don't believe there's like a right thing. Like if you're juggling around business ideas, I don't think there's like the right idea and then the wrong one. I think that your soul knows what the next step is for you. And maybe like you do one thing and then you end up transitioning into the other thing, or whatever. Like you don't know what your path is. And when we look at things as so black and white and like, this is right, this is wrong, this worked, this didn't, like, then it's a lot harder to keep momentum going. And it's easier when we can try something and maybe it doesn't work out how we thought, but we learn something and we can take that lesson and put it into something else and try something new and take that lesson and put it into something else. Like, at least we're moving. Like, maybe it's like this curvy, jagged line, but at least it's moving forward instead of staying stuck, staying in confusion, waiting for clarity, waiting for a sign, waiting for the right time, waiting for the right feeling. At least we're moving, right? So that's really what I want to offer up as a message today. And maybe you're listening and you know exactly like a situation this works for you. Maybe this is something you're going to like tuck in the back of your head and encounter later on. But I really hope that this resonates for you and that this hits home and that this is something that you remember, because I feel this is just something that's so important and something I see people all the time struggling with, is that waiting and the waiting for clarity and just feeling so stuck and feeling confused and not knowing which way to go next. Your soul always knows. And sometimes you just know the next one step and you have to trust in that one step. And that's why it's really important that we are working on our intuition. We're working on developing trust within ourselves, security within ourselves. We're developing personal power. Like, all of these things are so, so key, because this helps us to no longer feel like we're waiting. It helps us to trust those niggles that come up, those intuitive nudges. We can say like, oh, this feels a little bit scary, but like, I know I can trust myself. And there's no way to get here without practice, without trying it, letting yourself potentially fall down, get back up and try it again. So hopefully this message was a little kick in the pants that you needed. I hope it resonates. If you want to chat a little bit about this, of course, send me a message on Instagram. I'll link it below. If you are desiring more in-depth support, I will link a couple of my current offers in the show notes as well. You can always send me a message and see what the right fit is for you. It's always a no pressure conversation over here. I'm not going to follow up with you and try and fight back if something doesn't feel right. And I also have some one-to-one spaces opening up if you're wanting to have really high close proximity support with me on your spiritual journey, on your personal development, discovery, evolution, whatever you want to call it. I would love to support you in that. So I'll drop everything down in the show notes. And as always, thank you so, so much for listening. It means so much to me to see my podcast growing and to know that I'm reaching more people. And I would love for you to share this episode if you feel like someone you know needs to hear it right now. I always highly appreciate any shares, anything like that. I'd love to get my message out to more people. That just makes me feel so happy. So thank you so much for everyone who shares and messages and all of the things. I love you so much. So thank you, and I will catch you on the next one.